So now this could easily be one of the most important videos that we have ever made, because this video could literally save your life. Now, I am not kidding and I am not exaggerating. I kind of wish I was. I'm going to share more about why in just a few minutes, but first, I just want to preface this by saying the purpose of this video is to help people think about things that they might not think about. And I know never in a million years would I have thought that something like this could happen. In fact, we didn't even know that this happened or read about it on the news or see anything.
A car fished from a river and an off-ramp closed in the search for answers.
One of you guys, one of our viewers, sent us a message on Facebook letting us know about what happened, and then asked that we please make a video about what happened and then some ways to stay safe. So because we've been blessed to have a platform like this to share with all of you in the RV community, we do feel a responsibility that when something like this happens, we need to bring awareness and then also discuss ways to stay safe. So what happened? This summer, an incident occurred at a Nebraska rest stop where an RVing couple was brutally attacked during an attempted robbery.
Why would anyone attack a couple in their 70s passing through Nebraska? The motive appears to be money.
Now, the scariest part of this for me personally is I've actually been at this very rest stop that this happened at. In fact, Interstate 80 through Nebraska is a road I have personally traveled dozens of times because this is a route I frequently would take visiting family in the Omaha area. And as you might imagine, Nebraska is not exactly a location that you would expect to feel in any danger whatsoever. And this particular stretch of highway has some really nice rest stops and frequent rest stops at that. Now, in sharing the details, because I don't want to misspeak regarding any of the details, I'm just going to read you this news article here regarding exactly what happened. But then after I read this, I feel like I would just be amiss in reporting about what happened and just giving you a news report without then talking about some things and having a discussion for all of us in the RV community about things that we can do to not only protect ourselves, but those that are around us. So I'm just going to read it because that way I don't miss any of the details or misspeak about anything. So the news reported a tragic incident occurred at an Interstate 80 rest stop near Grand Island, Nebraska, where a Missouri couple was brutally attacked. Now remember, this couple were fellow RVers. Witnesses say they heard an Ohio man demand the keys to a Jeep that was being towed behind a Missouri couple's RV before he brutally stabbed them both and killed the man at an Interstate 80 rest area during an attack that was partially captured on a dash cam. James Thompson, 22, was formally charged with first-degree murder and 10 other felonies on Thursday morning, a day after the attack just outside the rest area. Grand Island is in eastern Nebraska. Thompson, who is from Elmira, Ohio, is represented by the Hall County Public Defender, who declined to comment on the case. Part of the attack was captured on a trucker's dash cam, but some of it happened out of sight. Gary and Mary Weaver's RV around 7 a.m. Wednesday, according to the affidavit. Moline said that the video showed a man enter the RV, make stabbing motions towards the woman before going out of view. And then when the woman came out, the man followed and stabbed her several times in the head before she fell to the ground, stopping briefly to yell at the trucker in the semi. Deputies found Gary Weaver inside the RV with wounds to his chest and head, and the 72-year-old later died at a Grand Island hospital. Mary Weaver, 71, was sitting on the ground bleeding beside the RV. She was initially in critical condition with what the sheriff described as life-threatening injuries, but she improved to stable condition on Thursday. And I actually will have an update for you a little bit later in the video on that after I did some research. Now, I just want to talk about, with a devastating series of events like this, it is just a stark reminder about the importance of safety precautions while traveling. This was awful, 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 awful. And it literally just made me want to throw up when I first was made aware of the story and even reading the story right now. So as we go along in this video, please share in the comments tips you use for personal safety, because we can all learn from each other. I'm going to give you some that we have and that we've learned over the years, but let's make this a two-sided discussion as we go through the video. So now tip number one is don't be an easy target. Now, this was an older couple in their 70s. they were an easy target, which is awful to think that somebody would take advantage of that. And I know that one thing that Ben and I are thinking about as we get older is the whole thing of just staying in shape. And let's just be honest here, like most would-be thieves are probably not going to go after someone who at least looks like they're somewhat fit and just doesn't look to be an easy target. I mean, here's an interesting thing. We came to Florida from the state of Colorado, and I will tell you that I have run into some people that are significantly older than I am, and they're in better shape than I am. And so they're just not an easy target. Even though they might be older on the age scale, they're just not. So from an overall health standpoint, being a full-time RVer can kind of lend itself to a little bit more sedentary lifestyle. I mean, think about it. If you don't have a yard to maintain, maybe you're not going out golfing with the buddies during the weekend. And while you probably will do some, out and about exploring, we have found that when we're in the RV, we're not getting the same amount of even steps in that we would during the day when we're at a sticks and bricks house, because walking from one end of the RV to the other, I mean, that's like 10 steps. It's not that far away. So staying fit and healthy is not only a good idea from a health standpoint, but it's also important to us when living a travel lifestyle, because you just never know what life on the road might bring. And I'm going to divert just a little bit because Ben and I have recently been introduced to a company called Trainwell, which is a personal training app, formerly known as Copilot, that offers personalized workouts and coaching. Now, we feel this is super important. We've definitely found that staying healthy on the road can be a challenge, and finding the time or knowing what to do for fitness, other than just taking a walk around the campground to get exercise, has really been something Ben and I have struggled with. So we both got started using Trainwell by meeting with our trainers on a video call to discuss what are our personal goals when it comes to fitness and staying in shape and being healthy for this lifestyle. Our Trainwell trainers set us each up with a certified trainer who created workout plans adapted to our schedule, our goals, any injuries, things that we just needed to watch for. And since we travel a ton, these personalized plans have been great because we have workouts that we can do from home or on the road, as well as for days when we know, well, maybe we can get to a gym if we're in a particular area with a gym, or we're going to be at the Hideaway for a few weeks. The app also includes videos that demonstrate how to perform the exercises, and your trainer's voice will describe what you're doing as you go. The app also has a timer to help you know when to start and stop exercising and when to rest. And I love that the whole workout is planned for me. I don't have to think about what to do next or plan out what I'm going to do for exercise each day. We've been using Trainwell for the last month, and it's really helped us create consistency in staying on track with exercise. In fact, I think I've probably been more consistent with this plan than anything I've tried on my own. You can message your trainer in the app. It's a great tool for accountability, since my trainer sometimes sends me messages asking how things are going, and I don't want to be like that slacker and say, oh yeah, like I haven't done anything. So I'm feeling the difference in my body with more energy and confidence. We're sleeping better too. For me, I know one thing I want to be sure of, as I am not getting any younger, is being able to still go and do the things that we want. Having some pretty amazing travel plans coming up this year still means I need to have the stamina and energy to do all the things that we want to do. So you can click our Trainwell link in the description below to get 14 days free with your personal trainer and give it a try. And a thanks to Trainwell for sponsoring this video. Now back to personal safety. The number 2 thing you can do to help keep yourself safe on the road is staying alert. Now, in a day and age when everyone is connected, I cannot tell you how often we pull into a rest area or a fuel stop, and so many people are literally unaware of their surroundings. Now, this is because they're doing a lot of this, as they're doing things like fueling up or whatever it is that they happen to be doing. And that just means you're not being aware of the others that are around you. And if you are not aware of others that are around you, it's really hard to just kind of be able to trust your judgment if you feel like that, hey, that just doesn't seem like a good situation over there. Just overall, you need to be able to be aware of what's going on around you. And that also means you probably want to limit that headphone use. I know everybody wants to walk around these days with their headsets and earbuds, but seriously, think about that. If someone yells out or is acting in a suspicious manner, you can hear what's going on. Also, when you're walking to and from a location, walk confidently. It's interesting how just being confident in the way you carry yourself can just make you look like someone that nobody else wants to really mess with. So tip number 3 is to choose safe parking. Now, park in well-lit areas, especially at night. Now, we all know this, but here's the thing. I know as RVers, especially if you're going to overnight park, you kind of want to be where it's dark because you don't have that light shining in, but it's just safer, especially at night, having a well-lit area. And then, of course, locking your doors and windows at all times. Now, I know that we're not always the best about locking our RV when just like at a rest stop or a fuel stop because, well, really, Alaska's the best dog in the world. But if you didn't know him and you just heard him bark behind the door, he does have a pretty big bark. And I just would, think the majority of people probably don't want to have to mess with that. I mean, and here's the deal, even though he's a good dog, he's never been put in that situation, God forbid. So who knows what he would really do? I mean, he is a Pyrenees, he's trained to guard the sheep. Anyway, I digress. So if you're part of the RV community, we know we all tend to be a trusting group of people. But when out and about, traveling at a rest stop, fuel stop, or even a Walmart parking lot, safety is priority one. So just lock your stuff. It also just, not only keeps you secure, but helps to keep honest people honest. So the number 4 way to keep yourself safe when RV traveling, or even just traveling in general, is to have an exit and safety plan. So discuss safety protocols with your family, with your travel partners, and have an emergency plan in place. Have an exit plan in place. Several years ago, a boondocking couple was murdered after their RV was stolen in Texas, and that was a whole nother tragedy in the RV community. And when that happened, we actually sat down with a local park ranger to talk about safety for RVers. And one thing he mentioned is that when people are boondocking with a drivable RV, simple things like keeping the slides in and jacks up just keep you where you can exit quickly if you need to. So a similar concept would be like if you have a towable vehicle and you're in a scenario where you want to overnight park or lot dock, being able to exit quickly. So maybe not putting out all 4 slides and putting down your levelers, but just keep yourself in a situation to where if you have to exit quickly, you can definitely do that. Now, I will put a link up here to that interview with more safety tips from one of our park ranger friends, and you can also check it out at the end of this video if you'd like to get more information. Now, before I get to tip number 5, I want to take just a minute to discuss some ways for all of our fellow RVers in the RV community who are a little bit more of a mature age on ways to stay safe, because it does vary. I mean, think about it, right? If you're a young 20-something, or maybe even like you are a bodybuilder, ways that you're going to keep yourself safe probably are going to differ a little bit than some of our grandmas and grandpas out there. Now, an interesting thing is that we know from the information that YouTube shares with us that most of you who are watching this video right now are probably over that age of 55. So there are some things in particular that can be helpful for those of you who fall into that age range, and we're going to go over those in just a few minutes. So next, the number 5 tip on how to stay safe is really to just trust your instincts. Now, instincts are your brain's way of processing information quickly and subconsciously. They're really based on your experiences and observations, and sometimes even biological responses to threats. When something feels off, it's often because your brain has picked up on subtle cues that you may have not consciously noticed. Instincts can feel like a physical sensation or an emotion, such as a sudden feeling of unease or just tension in your muscles, or maybe an inexplicable urge to just leave an area. It could also be a nagging thought or a strong aversion to a particular person or place. Now, these are actually important signals to recognize and to take them seriously. It's one of the first steps in using your instincts to stay safe. If something feels off, don't hesitate to just move to a safer location. Now, some tips for those of you who are of that more mature age. You're not spring chickens. I'm not a spring chicken anymore either. And or if maybe you have some sort of physical disadvantage when it could come to a scenario where needing to exercise caution or self-defense. And back to that stay aware thing, just be aware of your surroundings. That's something we already talked about. Number 2 is something like a personal alarm. Now, there's a lot of those options out there. A loud alarm can scare off a potential threat or just alert others nearby that something's going on. Just maintaining a safe distance, especially if you feel like somebody's just a little off, never hurts to just be cautious. And if someone tries to come into your personal space and you're not comfortable, just back away. Use everyday objects, so things like a cane, keys, walking stick can be used for self-defense if necessary. Think about what you have should you be in a situation like that. The other thing is to take a self-defense class. Now, there are a lot of self-defense classes specifically designed for seniors to learn techniques that you can use as somebody that's maybe not as strong or powerful anymore to still adequately defend yourself. And then stay connected. Carry a fully charged cell phone. This is why I actually now carry an auxiliary battery with me in my purse, so that I'm not going to be in a scenario where my phone is nearly dead and I would need to potentially call for help or just let somebody know where I am. And then lastly, you probably have noticed at this point, and maybe some of you have already left comments, that we really didn't talk about personal safety devices such as firearms. There's a lot of reasons that we're not going to talk about that in this video. Let's just suffice it to say that the choice for people to exercise their Second Amendment rights here in the United States can be a personal decision. And there are many options for staying vigilant and prepared that help to ensure a safer travel experience. So that is where you need to do your research, and you do you, boo, on what you want to do when it comes to that. So definitely leave us some comments. Let us know ideas, tips, tricks, things you've seen or even potentially used when it comes to personal safety. How are you keeping yourselves safe out on the road? Be sure to check out the links in the description below for additional resources, including a link to get started with Trainwell. We're super personally loving this service. Super thankful for them sponsoring this video because we're getting in better shape, and we're seeing this as a great way to be the best you that you can be when you're out on the road and living the RV lifestyle. And then also in the description, I'm going to have some additional links and resources to the original news story, as well as there is a GoFundMe set up for the Weaver family. So if you feel so inclined, you can support them in that way as well to help them move through this tragedy in their family. Now, if you'd like to learn more about personal safety while RVing, you should check out the interview with one of the rangers at that Boyd Lake State Park in Colorado. He gave us some great tips, many of which I would not have even thought of. So you can check that out right up here.